Yeah, well, let's go ahead and get started. Thanks for being here, everyone. Just want to say a quick word to thank you for being here, and then I'll let Steve introduce himself a little bit more thoroughly. But I'm thankful to Steve Giovanni, DG Draft and Design, here today, providing lunch and telling us a bit more about his business and his services. So, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having us. Thank you all for being here. My name is Steve Giovanni. Like you said, we'll talk a little bit more. You're kind of see what we do. But hope y'all like pizza. Y'all like 828. Fan pizzeria so much. I feel like I have so many milestones in my life there. I actually used to work there. I've been in Asheville for about 17 years. Met my wife there. Well, at 2-9. Just the one before the big round booth in the back. And I just love that family. That family means so much to me. And I was there last night. And yeah, I'm going to eat again tonight or today. So yeah, they're wonderful. But yeah, I see some familiar faces in here. But yeah, I want to meet more of y'all. But yeah, let's keep our funny faces to a minimum. I will. Yeah, we'll distract you. And distract me, yeah. But yeah, thank you. I want to start by saying, especially thank you guys to realtors, because, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you guys, I mean, learning through the pandemic, were you all essential services? Is that right? Do I have that right? I mean, we can't buy houses without you. I have that right. I don't know if there's enough people that know that. Well, see, and I'll get into a little bit about that. So yeah, and like I said, I'll get into a little bit about that, but for real, that's how y'all should be viewed. You know, we're in the construction industry too, right? So I feel like, you know, we have a lot of common things, which we're going to talk about. But I'm being serious. I really do appreciate you guys. So, and also, I just want to address, I know we're probably tired of hearing this, but devastation with Helene, it is major, man. And it's real. It's happening. We're all affected differently, whether or not it's catastrophic or not, we're all affected. It's been very difficult. I think we're all feeling it now, especially, obviously, you know, our personal lives are more important, right? But in business, you know, commerce, that's interesting, right? We get real creative. At least sports and media get more creative. So I just want to say that. But also we're right there in ground zero. We have, you know, we're a small residential. We'll see if I can use this thing. Small residential, design firm. We specialize in additions and, renovations. And so we're located there at the Film Mechanics Studio building. Y'all been there?
Wow.
Yeah. Sweet. It really is. It's a cool building. We're very fortunate. It's higher elevation. We did get flooding into the basement there. But we were very, very fortunate. The whole thing's made of concrete too, which helps. Very, very lucky. But no, so, you're good, but it'll be me next. There's someone else here. At least it's somewhat appropriate, it sounds like. Where was I? So, yeah, so when I was, you know, trying to tell people, you know, we're all affected from the hurricane such, you know, talking about commerce, business, money, taking care of our families. But those artists in that building, you know, they're especially artists, man, they are hurting y'all. And yeah, naturally they're artists, right? So that like they're not business type people, usually, you know, so they need, you know, go visit them. And I say, I always say, if you can go in there at the very least, you know, go in there if you can, buy a piece of art from them. If you don't like their art, buy it for someone else. If you can't afford it, think about artists. They usually have a bottle of wine hidden, if not out, so you can get it better, right? So that's, but really and truly, if you can go in there, those people are trying to do their best to survive, like all of us.
But yeah, so any generational realtors? No, really? No parents were realtors? Okay. Yeah, so just a couple. Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I'm a son of one, and this is what our household looked like. And ChatGPT, of course, did a great job. You can see, I love how the telephone cord's coming out. Mom is just busted. You know, she's got one eye. This was not so. This was probably me right here grabbing the cord out of Mom's hand. And I'm like, Mom, I want, you know, like, you can touch it, you know. But I remember like writing notes to her, like, hey, you know, can I ride my bike to Adam's house and play Spotlight Tag? And she was just always on the phone. Are y'all still on the phone like all the time? I bet it looks slightly different. Obviously, you're not attached to someone's head or a phone on the wall. But I guess, you know, I bring that up because I do have a small peek into what it means to be a realtor. My mom is currently still a realtor. She's in Winchester, Virginia. She's actually visiting right now, which is fun. That's doing a cool project like her 828 last night with her. But yeah, so I'm trying to relate with you guys and let you know that like I have a little bit of an idea. I'm not saying I know everything about what y'all do, but I have a little peek. And so that was, you know, I was thinking what, you know, I have a lot that I would love to talk to you guys about, of course. And I was saying, what am I going to talk to? You know, mostly strangers, right? I don't know most of you. How am I going to do this? So imagine this. Let's think about what we have in common. I feel like we need to be a little bit better about that as humans, right? We need to think about what we have in common, talk about that. And so, you know, I'm looking at this from a business perspective too. Like, what do our businesses have in common? Like I said, I'm in the construction industry, and again, we'll get more into what I do, but you know, I'm in the construction industry. And looking at as a business, you know, and for you guys, what would you say like we have? What's that? The product, like the homes. We're both dealing with homes.
Both dealing with numbers.
Numbers.
And
Clients.
not like
Clients. Clients.
deadline.
Headlines. Yeah.
We have years for changing a home that others buying or this other's home.
Yeah. That's a big one. Yeah, so those are all good. And there's a million other ones too, right? And, you know, you could probably say this about any business, mostly any kind of like service type business. But this is how I was kind of approaching this whole thing. But so what I came to is we're problem solvers. It kind of blankets a lot of that stuff. And it talks, and that deals with everything you are talking about. So like dealing with the numbers, dealing with the clients, dealing with the product, you know, all that stuff. But you guys, what we have in common specifically, like we have, you know, these clients, these potential buyers, these people, these humans who we have a lot of emotions. We have a lot of, you know, a lot of things that we want, things that we think we need. And we have to help them kind of deal with all this, right? You have to help them navigate. It's kind of crazy. And our little Zoom thing is kind of covering our beautiful, lovely home.
Yeah, look on that.
But so, okay. You're so good. Brilliant. But yeah, so, you know, we're emotional creatures, us, right? And there's a lot of freaking money. Sometimes it's the most money anyone, you know, the biggest investment anyone ever made. If we're lucky, we'll do it once. If we're really lucky, we'll do it twice. But, and I'm going to get more into that later. But you guys got to stay professional. We got to stay professional and navigate markets and stuff like that. We're doing it right now. And you guys, that's what I'm doing. I'm like, oh shit, Like this is kind of crazy, but we got this. So then you're going to get them in their lovely home. And so, we're very, very similar, except for we're in the home. They're already in the home usually. Not always. Sometimes, we deal with realtors and we help them. And we'll get into that. But yeah, once they usually have the home, we gotta help them figure out like, what are we going to do in here? How are we going to make it work for you? Yeah, so it's pretty similar in that regard. So we're going to go back to when I was a boy.
Steve, I have a very important question.
Oh gosh, please.
What were the people meant to be saying on that bottom of that?
So it's a good question, man. So
Maybe.
I love streets. Yeah. And actually, when I did these, I was like, okay, now remove text.
No, I like it.
But yeah, do you guys use ChatGPT at all?
Yeah.
Playing the game. 'Cause that's what it is. But yeah, I had a lot of fun making these. We use it every day. But with this whole problem solving thing, though, and us dealing with this, a lot of money, and trying to make this home work. When I was a boy, no, really, one of my favorite memories of my mom being a realtor was she would take us with her. I had two other sisters who were older than me. I was the youngest, so the most fortunate, right? But we would go and look at these properties together. And I remember running around the house. A lot of times we would go there and there'd be no clients there. Mom just wanted to check it out. Which was really kind of cool, get familiar with it. But I remember like sliding down the stairs and just doing kid stuff. And then, going to the fields, rivers, streams, whatever, doing poison ivy. It's awesome. But no, really was a lot of fun. My favorite part about it was being in these homes, and I'll never forget, like just being with my mom and her just staring, kind of looking around, and then come find, she would ask me questions like, well, what do you think we should do with this wall over here? Or what do you think we should do over here or whatever? And so she was trying to create a vision for the home. Yeah, I was like, I just loved it. And so we would always do that kind of with the family. And a lot of times it's that as mom's business grew, as she got better at what she did, she was fortunate enough where, she could start buying some of these properties. And so she would have this vision, and if she couldn't sell this vision to somebody or something, she'd be like, man, this vision's so good, we should buy this. And then so she put us to work. And so we would make it happen. And so we usually we would live in there. It's not like we could afford to have multiple homes or anything. So we would live in there. And when the bathrooms were done, we got bathrooms all finished, we would have to move out. So we never actually got to live in a lovely home. But I think that's super powerful. Do you all do that? Do you try to help homeowners envision their properties at all? I'm sure y'all do that, right?
As long as they want.
See, that's the tricky part. You do it all the time. Do you think that most of your clients or potential buyers are visionary type people? Like, can they see a vision for properties, you think?
It just depends, but oftentimes, no. Sometimes. Yeah.
Maybe, let's say it's 50-50 just for fun, because, I don't know, but either way, I'm a very visual person, and I still, like we have one other team member designer that helps, and I still need help with creative vision. I'm looking for other ideas, and so when us, as you guys as professionals, I think for a lot of people that can help. Now other people might be confusing for them, and maybe we should just avoid it. So we don't want to get too complicated about it. But one thing that we try to do, so there's a lot of properties in Asheville. Everyone wants to move to West Asheville or, wherever is a cool spot to be. And we have a property there right now, a project right now. It's on Dorchester. You guys familiar with Dorchester? Like right there behind Oyster House. Love that place. But a lot of those homes are small. They're little bungalows. They're really cute. Cape Cod style, at least this one we're working on. But yeah, most are like craftsman kind of bungalow, 900 square feet ish, something 11, 12. Of course, they can be more square footage as well. But a lot of times they're like 2-1s, right? And 2-1s, they don't work for a lot of people, and they can work for, some people. But we're finding a lot of people are like saying, hey, like how they don't see it. They don't see the vision. How can I make this work? So we do a lot of that. And so I just want to show like one example of how to look at this. Cause I always tell people like, yeah, I can look at a space and try to like create a vision for it. But in reality, it really happens at 40,000 foot view. So it is hard as a realtor or as us, we do this every day. It can be difficult to see it every time. So when you have that 40,000 foot view, it does help. So, but something when you're on the ground, boots on the ground, you're looking at it, this is a good example of how to kind of approach like a small house like this. So this is an example, something that would be at Dorchester, and it's got like these 2 entries for some reason. Maybe it was, a duplex or something. Like it's real weird, right? There's probably a good reason for it, but the kitchen's super tight. It's way back here. You'll notice the coloring is hard to see on the screen here, but the yellows are the, sleeping area. And then if the color was right, you would see, the rest of this is kind of living area, and that bat should be blue. Right now, so we got 2-1. We got this weird staircase kind of thing going on. We got this random bonus room in here. I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully a pantry. But you can barely get through here. This beautiful deck. So anyway, a simple way to look at a 2-1 is, or any property at all, whether it doesn't matter what it is the layout. Even when your boots on the ground, you want your living space and your sleeping separate, completely separate. So when we walk in the door, we want to walk into, like right now, I got this awkward sunroom, but the bedroom's right here, and there's a door facing this kind of living space. It's not private. They've got another door here in the hallway. That's better. There's a wall here. It's got the dining room. But they should be towards the back house as possible. Now, we're going to get into this, right? Because everyone's like, yeah, this sounds great, Steve, but how much is it going to cost? It's like, yeah, you're right. But, again, we'll get into that. But, this is trying to take advantage. Open concept, it's pretty normal now. I feel like it's here to stay. We go to the Builder Show. We try to go every year. We can go this year. But a lot of people talk about this in days. Open concepts here to stay is going to be classic and not. And I'm on the side. I think it's going to stick around. But it'd be a good day for that. But anyway, notice how, we're adding a whole bedroom and we're adding a bath. We're keeping the existing bath there. So we got our sleeping quarters in the back, and our main living is back here. So again, yeah, see, that looks great. You do have paper, and it's gonna be really expensive. Everything, and the people that understand structural, structural stuff, you're like, how the hell are you gonna do that? Feasibly or approachable. And that's the thing. A lot of homeowners are scared. They don't want to do this, right? But we got to make these properties work. We got to have like a vision, because we got a lot of properties like this. What else do our businesses have in common? Yes, please.
I know this might be
Ask questions.
at some point with some of these homes, have you ever seen it where it's easy just to scrape it and build it?
Yeah. And I'll be honest, it's kind of an uncomfortable question. But there are some. It's, to me, super rare. I don't want to scrap it unless it's absolutely necessary. And I have personally been in that situation. I've looked at properties before with people where that had been the idea, is to scrap it. I was against, I don't know. Like, what would constitute that in my mind? I mean, it'd have to be completely dilapidated, like structurally just done. And you gotta have the right buyer. If you get the right buyer to preserve it, I'm on that side. I take a lot of jack.
You may not want to say this, but for instance, that change.
Yeah.
I know there's not a real number, but what would be a range? I know it depends on finishes and all that, but if someone said to you, just about how much would it take?
Yeah. So I'm going to get into that.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you. And guys, please interrupt me, ask questions, interject. I want this, we come from a very collaborative place. I'm not here to not be interrupted or something. But yeah, I mean, to quickly answer your question is, 80, 100, probably 100 plus. I mean, we're talking a significant investment. And that's where you guys come in too. And we got to work as a team because a lot of these homes, like let's say this home's 450, 80, who knows, right? Well, that square footage number might not make any damn sense what that costs. We're getting past square footage costs. It makes absolutely no sense. But I will tell you, there's a lot of people that are very emotional people, right? And so it's interesting what we do as a species. Exactly. And this is right in West Asheville, baby. We want to be it. So yeah, then I'm constantly thinking about that because one of my worst nightmares is to create something that doesn't make any damn sense. And so, I just did this for fun one day. And that's what I'm thinking about that whole time. And I had other people look at it and I'm like, what do you think? This is kind of stupid or what? But no, it is possible. But again, I'm going to get more into that. But good, really good question. Any other questions so far? I got rid of them. It's just, this is one main level and they've got like a crawl space kind of thing. A lot of times in those homes, they are, third floors.
So those stairs went downstairs.
They went down to
Go outside and go through a hatch into the crawl space.
Right. This is a cross, it's third floor. I mean, ideally we want to finish it, but we got laundry upstairs, folks. Where's my thingy? Yeah, we got doubles.
Oh, I missed that.
That's cool. Yeah. So we got pantry, we got plenty of space. For how small it is. I mean, you actually get in there, it's small, but we're living better. We can maybe think more clearly. At least I could. So yeah, what else do our businesses have in common? I feel like we pretty much named them. And there's plenty. But where I want to move next, our process is freaking complicated, y'all. Like really complicated, actually. I mean, you could have a debate, say, no, dude, it's simple. Like, you just gotta do this. All right, cool. Yeah, to you as a professional. But for a homeowner too, what I was saying, like a lot of these folks, we're lucky to buy a home, right? So you're never going through the process. And the way that a lot of people are looking at the process are through our televisions or screens. And that's all, makes it look all fun and exciting. And it is fun and exciting. If you're the professional, you're always going to run into something. But so our process is complicated. You guys, we are juggling a lot, showing two versions here for everybody. Ignore all the text. I didn't even read the text. My God. But yeah, our process is insanely difficult. And in the construction industry too, it's the Wild West, y'all. Like we make this shit up. Straight up. A lot of people. Like it's kind of crazy. Now, that's not to say like AIA, which is, the Architects Alliance and such, they have a very specific, that's for legal reasons, it's very specific. You got this, you got this, you got this, which is good because in the court of law, you got to have something. But in reality, there's a lot of folks don't really have one, or, they have one, but maybe it's not communicated. So anyway, so that's what I'm going to talk about next, about our process. And I'm going to share it with you guys to kind of help you with your homeowners, potential buyers, and to kind of let them know, like, it's going to be all right. So there's our website here, but, I'm going to get into the process, but, our main focus is try to help you achieve construction success. We want to prepare you for your journey ahead. So we're in the, before construction actually happens.
We start with a courtesy consultation. Anybody can come to the office. We'll give you a quick presentation of our services. Matt was sweet enough to come by. Dylan's been by before. Dylan, you didn't get the whole spiel, but anyway, so we start with that consultation, and that's just, we want to make sure we align. But so essentially getting into it. So pre-design, we need to understand like all of people's intentions. And that's the biggest thing with our process. And I feel like with you guys too, is like, we need to make sure our expectations are up front. And it's got to come from an educational like way. You can't expect them to know what this is. So like you need to prepare these folks kind of, what's going to happen. So in pre-design, we're talking about, what do you want? What do you love? What do you, what's the idea? Like, what are you trying to do here? And there's way more to this. This is a simplified version of this process, and we can get more into it if you guys another time. But we're starting that pre-design to make sure it's the foundation of your design. And what we want to talk about in there too, not only just the fun, fluffy stuff, but again, setting those expectations. So what's your budget? Like, what are y'all thinking? You don't do that. And that's how you make it feasible. And like you asking like, well, is this really feasible though? Like this design you're talking about, super important, right? And so what a lot of folks, are coming to us and they're very surprised. Let's see if I can be swift here. I don't know if this is going to surprise you or what. I mean, this is crazy, y'all. This is new construction. This $350, $550 plus a square foot. Plus! That's insane. But it's what it is, where we are. So, and this is for 880 square foot addition, and there's more to this, right? I always tell homeowners, like, look, this is only a tool. This is not what it's going to be. But we have to start somewhere. How do we start the conversation? And a lot of homeowners want to keep their cards tight. They don't want to tell us. Fortunately, we're kind of a third party where they feel a little bit more comfortable telling us what this number is. But I show this to people just to kind of prepare them. And a lot of people ask me, well, what about renovation? Like, what's that cost? I'm like, dude, whatever you want, or maybe whatever you don't want. And it's insane. And so we are kind of the chicken and the egg kind of situation, right? So someone's coming to me and they say, hey, I want to do an addition. I got a budget of $200,000. Can we do it? I'm like, oh, I don't know, y'all. I mean, technically, when I'm talking to builders at the Blue Ridge Builder Association, stuff like that, they're saying like, nah, I don't think so. But people are getting real creative. People are figuring it out because you got to. It's necessity, right? So I am finding some people they're becoming owner builders, right? So they're GCing the job. So that's how they kind of keep costs down. And I help them with this expectations, right? I tell them, look, it's a job. Oh, it's cool. I'm a single mom, or I'm a mom, got a kid. I'm like, no. You don't want to do that. Like this is really, really hard stuff to do. There's a reason why you're paying your general contractor. So yeah, we want to talk about costs right up front. And when I mentioned the whole, thanks, dude, the chicken, the egg thing, I say that because you got to get into the design in order to figure out like, how much is this thing actually going to cost? So I'll move into that. Can we do it? We can do it. So we're talking about all these things. A lot of people will call me dream killers because I'm like, they're telling me all these things they want. And I'm telling them, dude, this is super expensive. If you want to get it done right and feel confident. But we can do it. And so, we're coming out, we're measuring your house. We use 3D scanning technology. It was fun. And then I throw this builder in here to interrupt the whole thing. And I'm like, a lot of people, are your homeowners, potential buyers, they come in from out of town? A lot, mostly, right? From like California, Florida, New York. And yeah, so they don't know what the hell's going on, right? They don't know anybody here. And maybe they do know people here, but, and even living here, it's hard to find the builder. It's hard to, to understand that. So what is a qualified builder? It's a long answer, really. But a qualified builder really it's more than like, budget. It's more than like, oh, yeah, I'm going to pick this builder because he's the cheapest. We've all heard that before, but it is true. But also, like, y'all are getting married. You're going to marry this builder. He's going to be all up in your space. They're going to be all up in your space. Whether it's a renovation or even if it's new construction, the name of the game of construction is problems. You have to be ready for that. I'm going to prepare you for that the best I can. I can't mitigate all the problems. As long as if you understand that the game of construction is problems, you're going to be prepared for it. So you want that builder, you're going to marry this person. You're going to go through honeymoon. Hopefully you're cheersing when you start. Because if you're not cheersing at the sign of that contract, you have a problem. Big problem. And so you want to, when times are tough, you got to make sure you guys jive right. You're not just, it should be a good, healthy relationship. And good, healthy relationships, you run into problems. It's just how it works. Any questions so far? A lot of stuff. So we get into schematic design. After we understand the foundation of what your project is, what you want, we've measured the house, talked about builder, I'm killing your dreams. No, we're setting expectations, we're communicating. We go into what's called schematic design. We run we use the typical architect's process. We're home designers. We are not architects. But we use their same process. So schematic design is the next one. And that essentially I always tell people is we're just sticking in 2D. Just think of it that way. Real simple. And I want you just to focus on the layouts as a client. I want you just, focus. So we don't even like show windows usually, unless it's just really obvious. We don't want to confuse people, but we're staying in 2D. And what we're trying to do is trying to come up with a few options. And for those options, we always say, we're shooting for the stars. We're going to land on the moon. And so we want to try to get everything that you want. I'm going to, using my experience in the field, I'm trying to, I'm very conservative when we're designing. And so I'm trying to push those limits a little bit because that's usually what you got to do to get the thing that they want. But we can't spend all of our time in schematic. Like I can't spend all of our time completely figuring it out because I'm going to make you a couple options. We're going to make you a couple options. And the whole point of schematic design, we got to figure out what direction are we going? So once we understand, and hopefully that beautiful builder is sitting in the office with us having this meeting. A lot of times that doesn't happen because they're really busy, right? But hopefully they're there. But when we know which ones, we usually have two options. And you guys have seen this stuff before as far as, see if I can, I did it on the first try, y'all. We know, once we know what direction we want to go, we do like preliminary estimating. And we rely on, I try to guess, but this is hard, man. And we got a rough, ideas. This is the existing, if you're coming for schematic design, so it look like existing, one option, two option. This is in, I think this is Montford. So yeah, we tell the homeowner, like, go take these to your builders. Like, they can't give you a good price. They can give you maybe a range. We want to at least explore feasibility a little bit. We don't want to keep moving forward, unless we just, we don't know. Our whole process is all discovery. Again, that's that chicken and the egg thing. So questions so far?
When do you, do you have people, somebody comes to you and they want to use you, do they have to have their own builder? Do you have recommendations?
So we recommend builder. At the end of the day, it's the homeowner's responsibility. I'm not going to say, hey, I'm going to make this decision for you. But yeah, we try to help them. We have referrals that we can refer to. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, those homeowners, they need to sit down and talk to these people and see how they feel around, and talk about this project. Are they going to give them the time of day? Even a lot of builders are so busy, they can't give you the time of day.
Yeah.
which to me is kind of, it's good. I'm glad they're busy, but it's also kind of a flag, it's like, well, cool, move on.
I was asking, but now that you said that, so the builders that you might would recommend, are they people that you've been through the process with and the outcome was good? I mean,
Good question. Yeah, good question. So yes, there are certain builders that we've gone through the process with them, and yes, it's excellent. There are some things, so, and I'll tell you right now, like the Blue Ridge Builders Association, I always get that wrong. It's Asheville Home Builders, but like a lot of those folks in there, are professionals, they, like you guys professional, like you came out of your time to come here and to go to this stuff. That tells me that like you're serious about what you do. Right? That right there says a lot. So like, that's why I look at the Builder Association. I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? Let's talk about it. So if someone comes to me and they just want like a quick referral, something like that, I say, go to that website. Now, those guys, they're professionals like you guys. And they have a little bit more overhead typically. So they're going to be on more of that 450, again, it's a tool, square footage price. But it's going to be a better experience, typically, Does that answer the question?
It's a red flag if the builder doesn't want to give you the time to even meet. Is it also a red flag if the builder's not busy and they're just like, yeah, I'll take the job?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's a total red flag. Right. Well, we have one of our qualified builders. He's like that. He can move along quickly. But this is what I tell the homeowners. I'm like, look, he moves along quickly. He's more of a paper contractor, and so he doesn't necessarily have more overhead because he has all his staff, in-house carpentry and stuff like that. But he's able to maneuver fast because he's just not physically there as much. If you're okay with that, then you're going to save some money and he's going to be able to start right away because he looks at this as like a business and hopefully they all are. But, which a lot of builders are, but a lot of these other builders, they got in-house carpentry. They got project managers. And actually, this guy just got a project manager. Thank goodness. Kept on telling him, like, dude, you need a project manager because this is getting crazy. But, it saves money, by hiring those person, dude in the truck kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, when I say red flag too, it's not like a blanket general statement too. Like, but I love figuring this out, like, because this is nationally, it's huge, like, important thing. You have to trust this person, man. And like you guys are handling all that money. Woo! So are these people. And we got a bad rep, y'all. I don't know about your all's industry. If you got a bad rep, maybe not. Anybody? But no, so we're doing our best to try to up our game and make it better. But yeah, moving into next stage, we picked a floor plan direction and we want to, we know what to focus on. Hopefully we got some kind of feasibility study from a builder. It's not always the case, not always happen. But then we, no matter what, we need to move forward because a lot of times in those schematic designs, we don't have enough information to give, the builders don't have enough information to do a detailed estimate. So, and that's because we're missing windows. Like we haven't fully figured out the floor plan exactly because I'm not going to waste all of my time, all of your dollars on figuring out every single thing. So we're refining the detail and design development. And one of the side effects of getting in there and finishing this design for your permits and pricing set and whatever it is we use Revit, which is industry standard building information modeling program. We use Revit, R-E-V-I-T. So it's an industry standard. And so one of the side effects, building information modeling system. So we're telling it all the different heights, the building assemblies that's going in there. So for the renovations, we're measuring those existing joists if possible, all those kinds of things to make sure we can connect those new roof lines with the existing roof lines. Our job is always to make it look like we never designed this thing. It was always supposed to be there.
And so this program, one of the side effects of this program is that it creates these models in 3D. Now, I always tell people, like, we don't spend time on these models. I mean, when we are spending time on it, it's like we're trying to, refine the detail, but I'm not going in there and trying to make this a sexy Instagram post or anything. Like, this is really, I share this with homeowner as a communication tool. So we can sit down together and then we can kind of walk through it. So this is that Montfort home, as you could tell. And their big thing is that they wanted to be able to see this kitchen. This is kind of hard for me to do, though. In this model, I'm not trying to be realistic. We're not going to spend time rendering this thing. We don't need to waste your dollars doing that. It's communication, setting expectations, right? That's the big thing that we got to do as professionals in any industry. And so we use that as this. So this table was a sentimental object. They have to have this table in this space that they're moving in from another house. So we're like, hey, this is scaled to that. And you can see this in 2D in the floor plan. But a lot of times you get in here like, hang on a second. That's tight. I'm not fitting any furniture back there. It's just, again, another way to communicate with folks on what this, potentially is going to be. And like a good example was these people, they wanted like a mudroom space over here. And in 2D, they're like, they saw this full pantry thing. They're like, well, just, make that pantry into like a, multi-use, bench and stuff. And I'm like, I love that idea. However, you got no space in here. This is like a high traffic zone. You can't do that. So I'm going to show you, though. I'm not just going to say that's a bad idea. Let's keep going. This is a good way to say, hey, we're advocating for you. We want that to work for you. However, here, let me show you why it's the problem. And let's together agree this is not a good idea. I think that's always a good, thing for us in any profession. It's that communication bit.
Does Revit integrate well with Autodesk?
It is Autodesk. It's a product of Autodesk. So like our structural engineers, y'all talking about structural stuff. I forgot to say that at the end of DD, that's when we have enough information to send all this via AutoCAD, which is Autodesk, to the structural engineers. And they can quickly figure it out because it's native to their programs.
I used to do a lot of 3D modeling, but I never did.
Nice. What were you using?
Mostly a TW5.
See, I don't know what that.
Designed engines and chemical plants. So
wow.
Suites, none of it's, geared toward.
Impressive.
That's all I wanted to ask. Sorry.
Very cool. Very cool. But yeah, and so, I know that we're coming up on time here. I really want to save time for you all to just ask any questions or anything like that. But once we get through, going through, we've come in office, we're looking at it together, figuring it out, walking that model. A lot of questions come up. We have enough information after this to send it to the structural engineers, whoever we got to send it to. Send it to the contractors so we can get an actual good detailed estimate, because they have a ton of information here. All the window sizes, just every single thing that they could possibly need. And they can move on. So we deliver all these sets. We make your permit set from that. When we hear from the structural engineer, we can attach their sets. If there's no structural engineer, then, which is very convenient, we can hand it off to the builder. And hopefully that builder is right there with us. And if not, we have a common variable. At the end of the day, if you don't have a builder picked or whatever it is, now we have a common variable and you can go to the market and say, hey, this is my project. What do you think? It's all figured out. We need price. And that's when you really start getting the builders. You start seeing who you want to work with. Because then you can compare it. It's the old saying of getting 3 estimates. Don't pick on cost, y'all. But then you really understand. You start seeing how they deal with it too. That's another really interesting thing. So common variable, we want that.
Are you available, for instance, if you get to that phase, now it's time to talk to builders, do you have other clients of yours that you'll help with that process? Like you might even sit down with them and the builder and kind of help?
Yes. God, yeah. So in our services is included for us to sit with, we want that. Let's sit together, y'all. Let's talk about it. Let's make sure you understand. Typically, I'm not involved in that. It's usually when they do. Now, if someone asks me, hey, I'm talking to this guy, will you meet? Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, like our main focus, the reason why we started doing this, I'm a general contractor, been in the field for in Asheville professionally for 14 years or something like that. But it's always been on my blood doing this projects for my mom. We want to, where was I going with that? Help me out.
With the builders, they might be talking to.
Our main focus is to help everyone achieve success. That's why we want to spend time in pre-construction, so we can save you time and money, rather than in construction. We're like, oh shit, this doesn't work. You know? And problems still happen.
And you're doing solely the design part, and you're not out in the field doing anything physically.
Correct.
And what does your piece look like?
Good question.
You know,
No, they vary all over the place. You know, a lot of architects, they'll say, it's percentage of construction. We don't do that. I've tried that, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work. We want to be more accessible to people. You know, but it's hard. We're in business. I've got a great project designer. She's actually in Rhode Island. But, you know, she ain't cheap. And it takes a lot of hours, y'all, to do this. So, you know, on average, I say, you know, if we're doing like an addition, and of course we're rearranging some stuff, right now, as we stand, on average, it's from 9,000 to 15,000, something like that. But we're talking like over 100 hours. It's a lot of time. And we want it when we're collaborative, extremely collaborative. Like, come on, as collaborative as you guys, you know, as the clients want to be. A lot of, you know, some clients, they're in California, like, I hired you to take care of this. Just deal with it. I'm like, cool. Perfect. No problem. But I want you involved there. That takes time. So, yeah. What else?
Like beginning to end, what is your time frame that you're spending with the client?
Yeah. What's the time frame of our project?
Like from the time that they come to you and it's like, hey, we want you to, you know, we want to work together until you get to that delivery.
Yeah. So typically we are 6 to 8 weeks-ish, something like that. But it all depends, man.
Right.
And so every meeting, and I'm not, you know, I'm trying to give you the simplified version of this. Like if we were to do business together, or if you guys are really interested in all this stuff, like I'll share you like how we communicate and stuff like that. We use Monday.com, and there's so much in there like that we go into. And so to answer that question, every step of the way, every meeting we have, we talk about budget, timeline, like our timeline, and all these things again and again and again and again. And it becomes annoying, which is good, because I want you to sleep at night and know we've thought of everything. We've exhausted every possible idea. So when you walk into construction, you're armed with this like, cool, like I could do this.
Right.
A lot of people just walk in there like, yeah, let's bust some shit up. It's like, no.
you know, the on-site project that you work on.
So we'll do like a closet or something like that. Some people are like, hey, I got this weird thing on with my primary.
You know, somebody just wants an
rearrange.
exterior or something, change that or something.
Yeah, we've done that. And that's a good thing, like envisioning properties and stuff like that. We have a lot of ranch homes, right? Raised ranches. And a lot of times they're just flat. And so, you know, we want to bring dimension, you know, bring some interest. And so, yeah, we do that.
You also do like deck add-ons and other exterior stuff, right?
Yeah, and they're a lot of fun. I love like framing and stuff. When we're doing designs, as a general contractor, I'm thinking, you know, about structural stuff. And so I really love doing decks. We're doing one right now. It's multi-tiered, really interesting. Little nooks everywhere. They big beer drinkers, so they want little nooks where they can get beer. They can look at beautiful stuff, you know. It's cool. Right. I know, we're both like, dude, we can't wait for this thing's built so we can have beer together. What else? I hope this is helpful, y'all. I was trying to like, you know, be more educational, you know. I hope I provided something for you.
I think most of it is you're delivering, and you know that's what we're all doing. Like
You know, there's a lot of talent, out there, but there aren't so many people who can handle the stress and pressure of life in general and communicate.
Well, and we recommend you, that's part of our brand too. I mean, that's why it's important. I recommended Steve to some clients of mine. They were thrilled with the work he did, even though it was a transformation. He just, the way that that house changed. I sold him the house, and I feel like the house just from one little transformation looked 30 years newer and so much more spacious. It's really, and they have nothing but good things to say about it.
I appreciate that. And that was 4 years ago, 4 years ago, something. I really appreciate that. But yeah, like I got to be accountable. Like what you said, what was your name again? Charles. We've met before, part of the Raybuck clan. But yeah, I got to be accountable for that communication. I am freaked out by referring builders, y'all, for the same reason. I'm like super careful. Actually, my lawyer guy, he's like, dude, you need to take that qualified builders thing off of there. Have you ever met a builder before? I'm like, yeah. He's like, are you stupid? And I'm like, well, I'm trying to help people. You know, so, but yeah, I'm scared to recommend people. So I try to hold myself accountable to that same standard. What else? Anything else?
Is there like a limit to the scope of your projects?
Hmm.
There was a $5 million house and they wanted to completely change everything with you.
Yes. So, and we do new construction. Last year we did 2 new construction projects that were, one was 2 million, the other one was 2. Well, honestly, it was swept away from the hurricane. We were integrating a cabin that this dude bought from Wisconsin, had it shipped over or trucked over. And then we measured, you know, the builder built it on site. We measured it all. And then the idea is we're splitting this really cool cabin and putting conventional construction up the middle of it. And we got into deep and the DD, just about done with DD, and then the hurricane hit. It's gone. And now a homeowner is fortunate where he can, I think we'll still be able to do it. But I told him, I was like, well, now we got to source all the logs, you know, that were swept away in Hurricane Helene. Now we got a better story. Right? But yeah, so we'll do anything. But, you know, like builders, like I'm going to be careful who I work with. I won't just work for anyone. Just because it's a $5 million project or something, I'm not going to just, cool, dude, money. No, I can't do that, man. I can't sleep. So I am careful. Just like how you're careful. How we're all careful referring people. It scares the crap out of me.
What about like historical projects? If there's a lot of red tape that has to be kind of gone through and maintaining, you know, historical integrity, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah. So that Front Street one I showed you, that's happening right now. And that's been very interesting.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot. And actually, my mom's real estate company in Northern Virginia was called Historic Properties back when we were kids. And so I would see her go through that process a lot. And I always found that very difficult. And so I understand how difficult it is. So when that happened with that Front Street one, and I'll be honest, that's the only one we've done with historic. I've done other ones where I didn't realize it was, and it was fine. Won't do that again. But you know, yeah, there's a lot to it. And, you know, we just got to collaborate, man, you know? But we know that ChatGPT's got that document, that historic document, and I've reviewed the hell out of it. Our team has reviewed the hell out of that thing. And we've asked it a lot of questions, help us dissect that, try to get better. Yeah, it's not easy to navigate that. They want a lot, which I get. What else, y'all? I appreciate the questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank y'all.
Kind of off topic, but how do you like
Please.
that novel?
How do I like it? I like it. I used Team Gantt for 4 years or something. And I liked it. I paid the $60 a month for that thing. But it was very limited. Like I'm a Gantt chart kind of guy.
Me too.
And I could never find a good Gantt chart program that had everything else I wanted in it. And I spent so much time trying to figure out which one to use. And we finally made the shift to Monday within the last few months. I love it. Now I'm in the infancy of it, but so far it's doing everything I want. And it's super, I haven't created the client portal yet because I want to be able to share as much as I can to be transparent about the process. I'm excited to do that, but I'm not there yet because I'm still learning.
Is that highlight your tab?
Huh?
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm a big Microsoft project guy.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's kind of weird now, moving more towards Mac OS.
Yeah.
And dealing with all that. So
I'm a Mac person and, Revit, Autodesk, that's Windows, right? But I run Parallels. Like I'm that dedicated, man. Like I'm drinking that Kool-Aid hard. Yeah.
Your person somewhere.
Yeah.
What part of the business does she do about you?
Yeah. So she's our project designer. And so she helps me design these.
Okay.
We work together every day when we're
So
designing.
you both do everything.
I'm involved in every single project. I'm not just, hey, take care of this. I'll see you later. It's like, hey, and it's been way better because it's more than one brain.
Yeah.
You can bounce ideas, man. It's not as lonely. I got lucky. I won the lottery. I had 2 other designers before her, and actually it was through Upwork, which is a huge gamble, y'all. But yeah, I just got really lucky. And because the other designers, I was paying them less, trying to be, more accessible, more all the stuff, right? So I'm paying more for her, but it's worth it. Every penny. She's just absolutely amazing. Like even she texted me right before coming here. She's like, "You got this. Good luck." Yeah, you're amazing. I have that process here if y'all want it. I got cards too.
Is it just you in your office?
It's just me in my office. Y'all come by and check it out. It's really cool. Actually, one of my good clients. So you say, yeah.
Where's your office?
It's in that building.
My friend Christy Vonderland. I'm an artist, but she is too.
Who?
Christy Vonderland.
Yeah, she's right next.
She's wonderful.
I think I'm the right person.
Yeah.
Sure.
She's blonde. She's a little bit blonde. Thank you.
She's tall.
Not necessarily, not like me tall.
Will you stand up?
She's an abstract artist.
Okay.
She just started in film mechanics just before the hurricane. She went in that building.
Before there.
Just before.
And so yeah, it's fine. I got yours. Thanks. But yeah, come see it. One of my good clients, he actually, I shared the space with him. He's actually a CPA, but he, we designed a recording studio for him, for his house. And it was a fun project. We had a sound engineer involved and all that stuff. It was super cool. And then we were designing his primary bathroom too. And his wife was like, "This sound studio is not happening until we get that bathroom done. So you need a place to put all this equipment." And then I had planted a seed with him and said, "Hey, I'm looking for an office. Just let me know if you can come up with something." And he's like, "Well, actually." So it's really cool. People walk in, they see this thing. I mean, this thing is a professional, like Dr. Dre has 10 of them ready to use, like kind of, Prince used it, all these people, standard, Bruce Springsteen. But yeah, people come in and like, "What the hell is that?" Like, "Oh, that's how we design your property, But no, so it's all.